welcome to Emily Kate Made This. I am Emily Kate and I'm coming to you from Berlin in Germany. Welcome to my knitting slash sewing slash general crafty YouTube channel. Here we talk about knitting and sewing, obviously, and also vintage. I love vintage knitting patterns and sewing patterns and general old things. So welcome. I have recorded the beginning of this video about 10 times now because I keep getting interrupted, whether the phone, the door, my husband, so let us see if we can get any further. This episode is going to be probably a little bit different to my normal videos because I don't have my normal knitting projects. I'm always blabbing on about vintage jumpers or something vintage, and I have just socks. I just have socks to talk about. They are beautiful socks, so do not go anywhere. But yeah, it's not my usual content, but hey ho. I will show you my first pair. I have one finished object, socks, one very almost finished, and one that's 3/4 of the way finished. That is the knitting content, but it is lovely, and technically we could say that one of them is almost vintage. Oh, I showed you these in my last episode if you were watching, and this is based off of a vintage knitting pattern, so technically it is vintage inspired. This is the bunny ear pattern. I'm not sure why I'm putting this on my hand and then looking at it when I should be showing you. I will try and put some footage because I did make some for Instagram. I can't put these on sock blockers because the only pair I have are too big and they stretch my socks out and I can't wear them, so I am going to hold them like this. These I talked about quite a lot in my last episode, but for anybody new, they're made of scrap wool. This was an old, very old scrap self-striping yarn that I held together with some of my mum's leftover sock yarn from 2020. So finally used up some scraps and I used every single piece of this yarn to the point where on my last sock I ran out on the last row. So there were 20 stitches left and Kitchener stitch, and that is where I ran out. But luckily this helps me, which I will explain in a little bit. So these are beautiful and I'm really happy with them. I just kept thinking about when I was knitting the jumper how badly I want a t-shirt, some socks, some mittens, a scarf, like everything with this pattern. So hopefully over the year I will collect a bunch of all of these items into my wardrobe. Everything will be covered in bunny ears. And I do love the self-striping because I didn't know what colour was going to come next, and there's two socks are different. They're very close but not quite the same. And this one went intensely pink and falling over. Why can't I just stand up? Lots of pink and lots of green, and then this one got a lot more yellow and some more blue in there, and this was very fun. I really enjoyed to see the colours arriving as and when they chose. The only thing that I don't love about these socks are the heel. I decided when I was knitting these I just went off course on everything that I usually do, so I thought I always do a heel flap and gusset. So I will not do that this time because apparently that affects the colour work of the rest of the sock. Because I suppose because the decreases usually come in on a heel flap and gusset, and that would make the bunnies look a bit strange. So I thought I'm going to try a new heel, and I went with the short row heel, and I will not do that again. I am not a fan of the short row heel. That one can go bye-bye, and it's because it gave me really huge holes, like really big holes when I was joining. I can't really explain it. I sewed them in a bit, so hopefully you can't see them so much now. But The sides where you decrease in, I can't explain myself at all. Basically, I got holes here and I didn't like it, and I have since discovered a different heel, which I will talk about in a minute, but that is the heel I used, and it's a heel I will not use again. It's comfortable enough. To be honest, so many people talk about how this or that heel are more comfortable and fit better. I don't notice anything. The only thing that annoys me in a sock is when it's too big, when the yarn relaxes too much and then it gets really saggy and floppy and then it falls down my leg. Here is a very large hole. Can you see that? Then it annoys me. But generally, if the sock is 56 stitches, it will fit and will be wonderful. But saying that, if you were watching my last video, I was telling you that I cast these on the aeroplane going to Sweden, and I had 2.25 and 2.5 millimeter needles with me. And I don't know, I think I haven't knitted socks in a while, so I forgot, but obviously colourwork socks are a bit of a nightmare when it comes to gauge, and you can't just wing it, you have to get the correct gauge, otherwise it will not stretch over your heel. And I got to about here, and then I thought, I haven't increased, oh no, and I tried them on, they did not fit over my heel. So I ripped them back and started again, and I increased my stitches. So instead of 56 stitches, I went up to 70 or 72, and 2.5 millimeter needles instead of my usual 2.25, and they fit, so it is all okay. And that is the biggest issue with colourwork socks for me, is getting that gauge and getting a nice fabric. I got a bit lost there because I was just thinking actually the biggest issue for me is with colourwork is when you have 2 or 3 colours and then you have to catch floats and then it gets all of a mess. But anyway, I love these. I also, as I mentioned in my last video, did decide to go with left and right socks. So I've never done this before, I've never tried it, and now I have. So I have can you see that? I have been wearing these, so they don't look as crisp as they were. But one goes down here, and one goes down here. So I have my left and right socks, and to be perfectly honest, I don't notice that either, but they feel nice, they fit well, so left and right toes or the same toes seem to work perfectly fine. It's really just fun to just try out different techniques, because I think with socks I tend to get a bit bored because I've always knitted them in the same way, like the same ribbing, the same length of ankle, the same heel, endless knitting to the foot, the same toe, and I just found it really fun to try self-striping yarn that wasn't stripes, a different heel, and my phone alarm is going off because the interruptions continue. Ironically, that was an alarm to remind me to record a YouTube video. Yes, so I changed up the heel, I changed up the yarn, I changed up the toes, and it was really fun. So speaking of the toes, this little bit here is excellent because now I know that this is the right foot, because that was the second sock that I knitted and I ran out of yarn on the last sock and it was green, so now I know that's the right foot. If I couldn't tell by the decreases on the side. And yeah, they are knitted top down, but I'm going to try some toe up socks soon, which I'm also excited about. Yay for socks! What else can I say? I did think about making a pattern for them, but I'm a little stressed at the idea of multiple things actually about that. as I said, the gauge is really important, and like a lot of people would say they knit a sock and it's 56 stitches. They wouldn't necessarily think, oh, I should knit it with 70 stitches. So they would get socks that could come out really small. Or perhaps somebody has really tight colourwork and they would knit that and it would come out too small. Basically, I'm just scared of a major amount of backlash for socks not fitting. But if you want me to write a pattern, it wouldn't be like massive size inclusive. It's just literally going to be a simple basic pattern, probably for free, so that you can adjust it to however you like. But I just love them. I think that is all I have to say on these socks. Okay, so my second almost finished object, but not actually finished object, is another pair of colourwork socks. These ones I really hope will be for my mother. So mother, if you're watching, stop watching. These ones I knitted at a bigger gauge because I know that she has wider feet. We have the same length feet, but hers are wider, and I think her instep is bigger than mine. I'm really nervous that they're not going to fit, which is exactly what I was just referring to. I knitted these at the same stitch count, but on 2.75mm needles so that they would be bigger. Oh, I really hope they fit her. I have to say, even though this sock is blocked, it does still look a bit strange. I've been doing this technique where I do the magic loop, and I've explained, I'll put a link below. Basically, you constantly move your stitches around the needles so that you never get that big gap in between when you change needles, because I often get a ladder that runs down, right down where I change the needles. So this technique stops that, but it does create a bit of a strange, like, puckery texture at every point. But I also did that technique on these, and they don't have that anymore, so there is hope. These could be cats, they could be foxes, I'm not 100% sure. The story of these is that I went wrong once on one of these rows and it turned out to look basically like this, and I thought that could be really fun to make fox or cat socks, I'm not sure. So I started these, did maybe 2 rows, and then I showed them to a friend and she said, they're very cool, but I think someone already has that pattern. So I then went online and looked for it. Did I look for it? No, I think she sent me a link. I think she sent me a link to it and I looked at it. That was it. And realised somebody has in fact made this pattern already. So this is not an original design, but I never used their pattern and I never knew about their pattern. This was just a mistake when I did something wrong on one of these bunny ears and I wasn't concentrating. So I can't exactly give credit to the other person, but this does exist already. So if you want to make these, the pattern exists. Not that I can remember. It's something like, it was like polka cat? I'm not sure, but I didn't use that pattern, so these are my fox or cat socks for my mum. And I used a shadow wrap heel technique for these. I'm just looking at this and thinking, that doesn't look even at all, but it is apparently even. I was just about to say this is super easy and involves no counting, and I'm looking at it thinking, that doesn't look very even. But shadow wrap heel, I watched a tutorial. I will also try and link that below. And what's her name? Earth Tones Girl? I'll link it below. I watched her tutorial and she made it really, really easy, and It was really easy to watch and really easy to understand. The only issue I have is that she kept saying there are no holes and you don't have any holes when you, at this point. And I do have a hole, and it's not like they're massive holes, but you can still see skin through it. So maybe I did something wrong. I don't think I did, but I think it's correct. But it's really hard to show. It kind of looks like a fish. Yeah, I don't know. It looks really strange, but it sits on the heel well. That's just the main thing. And I am nervous that these are simultaneously too big and too small, but I really hope they fit. The main thing is they have to get over her heel, and if these are too tight, it won't get over. But then I look at this foot and I think, God, that foot looks really wide. But equally, I know her feet are wide, and they do fit on me, and they're not massive on me. They are too big for me, but they're not massive. So I have high hopes that they will fit. And I also decided to do her some left and right toes as well, because she's been making socks for years and years and years, and she's never tried it either. So I thought, have a left and a right sock. This is, funnily enough, her leftover yarn, her scraps, that she made me a pair of socks and herself a pair of socks, of fox socks actually, and they were colour work, and it was 2 balls held together, and I can't remember the name of the socks. I was trying to remember. She made me these socks and then gave me the scraps, and I thought I'll make her some socks out of her scraps. So hopefully they fit. And this is the second one. Here you'll be able to see there is actually, you might think that that looks a bit bobbly, but if you look at it in comparison to it unblocked, it kind of looks exactly the same on screen, but in person it does not. I just have the toe to go. I have done all of the cats. And it's the right toe to go, then blocking, then hoping and praying that they will fit. I am going to the UK next week, and I think I will give them to her in advance. Her birthday is in August, but I will not see her then, and if for some reason these do not fit, it will give me a chance to make a replacement pair for when she visits me in September. But hopefully they fit. Everybody pray that these cat socks fit my mother. Hello, I'm interrupting myself. This is Emily. Later on in the day, I finished the sock. Oh yay! I have got to block this one, then it is done, and then I desperately hope it fits. So the yarn is Cascade Heritage yarn. I've never used it before, and it's really nice. It's really nice to knit with. The only thing that sent me into a flurry of panic was I blocked this sock and the yarn went from looking like this and turned into just the most relaxed, stretchy mass of sock. It just got huge. I did take a picture, I'll try and put it in, and I freaked. I thought this sock has turned into an absolutely enormous stocking. But it did then slowly, when it dried, come back to more of a normal size. But the panic was there. So I'm almost done with them, and my final pair, you have in fact seen the beginnings of. And I did tell you, I'm definitely going to do this. I have definitely not done that. I will send you back in time. Gosh, it's super windy. I decided after one entire year of having the pattern, I'm definitely going to make the egg socks. I cast on. I discovered it's 3 colours in a row, which for some reason my brain had not understood when I saw the pattern with 3 colours. I've made jumpers with 3 colours, I've made things with 3 colours, and it's not fun, but it's doable. But my goodness, knitting socks, small circumference, tiny needles, 3 colours, catching floats, it is not fun. And I made sure that I was going to knit the second sock at the same time so that I wouldn't get second sock syndrome. So I got to here and I thought, right, cast on the second one. Then I'm going to do the heel on one and the heel on the other. And then I'll slowly make my way through the foot. And I was telling you guys this, and I was saying it's really horrible knitting 3 colours with these socks, and I really don't like it. And the texture was terrible, and I blocked it. I pre-blocked just this section because I thought it's terrible. It looks awful. And it did actually block out okay. So I thought, nope, I will continue. It will all be fine. And then I realised I wasn't ready to do the heel. I had to do this row once more. And for some reason, when I saw this, all of the enthusiasm, motivation just drained from my body, and I left these socks abandoned. And every time I looked at them, I thought, oh, no, I don't want to knit that. And then I decided last week, no, I'm definitely going to do this. And I picked the socks up and I knitted around, and I went wrong on the colour work, and I thought, I really don't like knitting these socks, and I don't want to do this. And then I thought, you know, originally I had come up with a different idea. And when I thought about that, the joy like sparkled back into my life and back into my brain, and I thought, yes, I am going to do that. So I did. I decided to use stone knits, whose pattern this is, by the way. This is the breakfast sock set. I used her chicken socks for the feet. So the top part is really tight. This just about goes over my foot. Just about. Which is another reason I thought I don't want it on the rest of the foot, because it might not fit. Then I did a shadow wrap heel on this sock. And this has a kind of texture that runs down here. And then the amazing toe. Isn't that great? Oh, I love it so much. And now I feel joy when I see these socks. And the sadness is gone. And I'm looking forward to knitting the second one. The second one is up to here at the moment. I need to do the heel and the rest of the foot. So I might do this on the plain, or I might do that during the week and cast on another sock or something for the plain for next week. Getting those socks on the needles and off the needles. It's going to happen. I have so many socks planned, and my sock mojo is not always very strong. Usually I have about a year, 6 months to a year in between the sock, and I'm trying so hard not to let that happen this time. So fun things make things go a lot faster. I did change this pattern a lot in the obviously the original one, it's eggs all the way down and a short row heel. But this one I changed to a shadow wrap. I changed my stitch count back down to 56 from 70 something, 70. And I changed the rate of decreases on the toe to the same one that I used for, I just dropped the sock. This one. This one has something like, no, I can't remember. Basically you decrease on every single row, and this one it was decreasing every other row and then every like 4th row or something, and the toe was going to just get ridiculously long. So I decreased on every row to get it to fit. This one is unfortunately not a left and right because I didn't feel like playing around with the yoke and making it look very strange. But maybe I'll try it on another pair. I do want to make the chicken socks, so I could try it with them. So there they are. And I have one more foot to go. So yay, we have many happy colourwork socks. And that is all the knitting content of today's show. Hello, welcome to my chaotic YouTube video. Yesterday I completely forgot to show you my other finished objects, which are technically nothing to do with knitting or sewing whatsoever, but I started these about 6, 7, maybe even 8 years ago and abandoned them, and I have finally framed them. And I wanted to show you because they are still crafty, and I do always say knitting, sewing and crafty YouTube channel and then never mention anything crafty, so I thought I would. I ironed the life out of this and it still doesn't look ironed, but oh well. I don't have many memories of what I did because it was so long ago, but I do know I bought this pattern from Sarah K. Benning, and she has some amazing embroidery patterns, and this one I bought on Etsy, yeah, a good while ago, maybe 2018, 17 maybe, and I did all the embroidery and then I left it because I didn't know what to do with it. And I've now found one of these hook ring things. I haven't done anything to the back. I remember when my mum and my nan used to use these and they used to bind them somehow. So I'm hoping when my mum comes to visit in September she can show me what she used to do because I can't remember. But for now it doesn't matter because they're just sitting up here because I haven't decided where I want to put them. But at least they're on display now. And I say they because I have two. But this one, I'm afraid I can't give you any more information because I honestly don't remember where I got the pattern. I don't know if it was a free download or what, but maybe if you're into embroidery, you'll know it. It's so adorable. I'm so proud of myself. I'm not really sure why I haven't made more. I started another one. I'll have to dig it out. So currently they are displayed on my, what used to be my wool bookcase, which now has cotton because the moths, the bugs, so everything else is in plastic unfortunately. But I have a whole bunch of threads up in one of these boxes above me, and I really want to get back into embroidery because I think it looks so good and you could create anything you want. And I'm obsessed with plants. Admittedly, they don't all survive my loving care, but I love them anyway, even if they don't all survive. This one was a plant that I did actually own. It was the first plant I think I bought in Berlin. And yeah, I don't think it even managed to get to this apartment, so it maybe lasted a year or two. Oops. But my Monstera is still going strong. She's behind me. So yeah, that was my other finished object that I wanted to mention. And I think that was it. So on to the past me. I would like to tell you that I have all of these whips and works in progress, but actually I have been completely focused on all of these socks for the last 2 weeks. That is all I have been knitting. I have so many sewing plans and I'm completely paralysed with indecision. I have cut out a pattern and I want to make a whole video about it because I think it would be fun, but I'm completely stuck on fabric, and I have to pass this somehow, and I haven't quite figured out how to just be okay with using stash. I have mentioned this, I think also in my last video. I get the feeling like if I buy something from a thrift store or charity shop like bed sheets, I'll be able to cut them up and have no guilt because they're not like super fancy bed sheets or brand new fabric that I might cut into and it will all go wrong. So I thought if I buy these bed sheets from a thrift store, I'll have no problem using them. This is not true. I bought bed sheets and I just think this could make a beautiful dress. This could make some stunning trousers. This would be a beautiful blouse, and I can't decide which project. And then I think, well, if it goes wrong, I can never buy this fabric ever again because it's a one-off in a thrift store. I can't use it. And then I have these bed sheets that, like, literally the sheets, not the duvet cover, but the sheets. And I think the quality is so much better than the ones I have that I should use them as bed sheets. But then the bed sheets I have are like stretchy, the ones that stretch over the mattress. They have a name. They're not like plain fabric, but they stretch over. I can't use that because it's got nylon and it's a stretchy fabric. It's a knit fabric. It will not be a suitable fabric to make a dress from. So then I think that's a waste. I just need to use the bed sheet. And I can't use the bed sheet because I think the quality is too good. So I'm stuck now because I can't cut into any of the fabric because I don't want it to go wrong. And I have mentioned this also before, and I will certainly mention it again. I really struggle with making the mock-ups or the toiles because you take so much time to make the item, and then to do that, all your time, all the fabric, the material, and then you try it on and go, oh, well, it doesn't fit here and it doesn't fit there. Then you just throw the whole thing in the bin and start again. That just seems awful. I can't understand how that is. People make several mock-ups using fabric, and I don't know how. I couldn't just do 3 days working on something and then throw it in the bin. And you can't really rip it out because what are you going to use like a bodice piece for? You can't reuse it for a bodice because you've already cut it. So at the moment I'm just collecting everything that has ever gone wrong, and I will make it into a blanket at some point, patchwork, this, that or the other. So I'm never throwing anything in the bin, but the idea of cutting into brand new fabric, knowing in advance I will not be wearing this and it will go into my scrap bag, I can't do it. So then I don't get the project made because I'm too busy thinking it could go wrong. So I'm trying to get over this hump and just make things with the fabric that I have. It's just really hard. But I do have a sewing project planned, and I will show you the duvet cover that I have planned. It is inside out. I will show you a bit of the duvet cover. Yes, it's faded and washed out and very old, but I still love it. So I'm thinking, sometimes I think, oh, a dress, that would be wonderful. But actually I was thinking I would just make some trousers with it. Because during the summer I walk around in the Peppermint loungewear set. Yes, it's a free pattern and it was on Peppermint magazine website, and I just really liked the trousers. I will show you. I made these in 2021, I think. They're stretchy, they have pockets, they're not ironed. They're just casual pants, trousers. And I wear them all the time around the house in the summer. When I go out, I wear all my dresses. But when I'm sitting or crawling around the floor, sewing, I wear cotton or linen trousers. And I only have 2 pairs, and one, the seams are starting to come apart because it was muslin fabric, and I don't know, it just, like gauze, double gauze, and it's fraying up into the seam because I didn't have a serger, and I zigzag stitch and seams. That doesn't work for me. I don't really know how people do that, but my sewing machine gets very unhappy if the needle comes off of any fabric. If it just jumps to the side, it will turn off. But in order to do a zigzag stitch, you do a bit on the fabric, off, on, off, and yeah, it doesn't work. So they're almost certainly going to the bag for scraps. But these are still good, but it then means I only have 1 pair. But when I was in Stockholm last year, I got these fun trousers, which are very similar, but they are more tapered in the leg, and they have a stretchy, they're elastic in the leg, which gives them a bit more of a vintage 1950s vibe. I'm thinking I might do that with these, kind of merge the 2 patterns together. Could be fun. And the other sewing projects are all vintage, and I have to just get the guts to do it and see what happens. I will stop talking now because I have been talking and talking for about 2 hours, even though there's only about half an hour of footage. I do have so much that I want to talk to you about, but I will do that on another day when I'm more calm and collected. And I will be going to the UK, yeah, next week, so there won't be a video, so it'll be another couple of weeks until I post, but hopefully I will come back with lots of exciting vintage finds from UK charity shops. Right, one more thing before I forget, because for some reason I just forget this very important and fun fact. I don't know that's right. Anyway, I am running a vintage knit along, make along on Instagram, kind of also on Ravelry, but it's very quiet there. It's basically a nice little place to put any of your knitting projects or sewing projects, crafting in general, that's between the 1920s and 1960s, and so we can all see it, basically. It's nothing, it's a very easygoing knit along, make along, just so that we can see each other's projects and find new people that are interested in vintage. So if you want to participate and you have a pattern that you want to make or that you have made, just hashtag vintagemal 2024 and tag me in it so I can see it. The algorithm doesn't always show every photo, it changes it around a bit, but I can add you to my highlights, so anyone that wants to go through and look at every project that has been on the hashtag, they can go through the highlights if it's not showing up on the feed thing. Words are leaving my brain, so let us stop. I also wanted to say a big thank you to everyone who commented on my video, my last video, and said how much they loved my teapot dress. I was very nervous about the dress and I wasn't sure about the fit and if I liked it or not, and lots of you said very lovely things, so thank you. I did in fact wear the dress out. I went to Spreewald with my husband last week and it was wonderful. It was so sunny and glorious, and the dress was perfect for that exact occasion. It covered my shoulders so I didn't get sunburnt, and it's very long and flowy, so it kept the mosquitoes away from my legs, because mosquitoes and Spreewald go like hand in hand, they go together, and I didn't get mosquito bites on my legs. I only got one and it was right here. Well, I didn't get one, I got 3, but I got one here where the dress ended and one here where the sleeve neck ended, and I got one here. But other than that, the dress covered everything, didn't get sunburn, kept the sun off, and it was, yeah, lovely. It was cool and it was everything I wanted, and I'm very, very pleased with it, and I will definitely wear it out again. I just have to get used to the shape. I think that was the issue. Hello again. I forgot to introduce you to my new friend. My husband purchased him for me in Spreewald. If you do not know what Spreewald is, it's a beautiful, beautiful place that you should Google, and it is incredibly famous for gherkins. He's attached to my belt. Isn't he adorable? I wore him on my belt the entire way around, like the best tourist ever. Okay, bye. What's the issue? Speaking of teapot dresses, I'm actually wearing a dress that I purchased when I lived in Dublin, in Ireland. This dress does not fit me at all. This is paraphrasing Midge Maisel here, but this is a standing up only dress. I cannot sit down in this dress. This is far too tight. When I stand, it's perfectly fine. Nothing's falling, it fits, I can breathe, there's space. But the second I sit down, it's like my back and my rib cage and everything on the back of me wants to just explode out of the dress. It's incredibly uncomfortable. So yeah, standing only, but it's such a fun dress, and I'm very sad that it does not fit. My goal in life is to learn how to alter clothing to make it bigger. I have so many dresses that they used to fit, or weirdly enough, like this dress, this used to be too big for me, even though I was bigger in Ireland. I'm still a bit confused by this, but I have multiple clothes from my days living in Dublin that are way too tight, but I definitely was bigger overall, and yet nothing fits now. But I just need a slight adjustment on the back. Like, if I could take out the zip and add like elastic or shearing like, panel so that it would stretch, that would be amazing. But I'm not confident enough to start hacking off all my clothes and doing that, so I will just wear them when I'm standing and leave them in a bag until the day I know how to fix them, because it's going to happen. It's going to happen. Okay, that is everything for today. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!